pulled out my mic.
How's it broken?
For some reason, the spring I think is too thick, and it gets jammed up. Fuck, he did it to me again. What's up, guys? We're live, coming at you. I'm standing today. I'm gonna be doing a little Maverick thing. Want to change it up a little bit, so we have no idea what's going on. All right, see how good my ADD works out. I got people checking in. No, absolutely not by himself. Bro, I can't. Yeah, I gotta. Sorry. Let me fix that so I can read comments.
Fix my mic.
I got Mason with me here today. We're going to be going over AOHs. All right, part of acquisitions, rolling off of yesterday's talk, in particular, slowing down to speed up success. I want to talk about shit. Nobody actually discusses this. Real estate, messy title. They want to get things locked up on the first call. They don't actually understand what that means. If you get something locked up, you're going to be chained to it for a long time. Okay? You're promising to solve people's problems. What does that actually mean? I want to go through that in detail today. I got Mason with me. He handles all of our acquisitions over here at RAIF. Couple things coming up. Next Wednesday, I got Maria Acosta. August 14th, she's coming in the office, and we're going to be sitting down. We're going to be talking all things real estate like we always do. She's absolutely killing it, multi-state throughout the country. She has plenty of real rentals, but she's focusing on flipping and wholesaling, so make sure you tune in next Wednesday. Next Thursday is our next open office mastermind event. It is in the office Thursday. Doors open at 5:30. Usually don't kick people out until 9, 10 o'clock. Topic of discussion, that's what I was trying to remember, is underwriting. So we're going to be talking about things like today. How to get deals done. What does underwriting actually mean? Okay. I know I was in Discord earlier. Nick said, not me, the other Nick said, I feel sorry for somebody who has to fill this out. And I was like, you don't understand. If you're if you're doing acquisitions, that's you.
Oh, you sent a picture of this?
Yeah. Well, I didn't send just a photo. I sent the actual questionnaire. So if you don't have the questionnaire, click the link in the description. Hop in our Discord. It's right there. You can download it. Our questionnaire. It's not ours. It's titles, but it's just a standard questionnaire that we're going to go over today. We're going to pull it up. As always, if anybody has any questions, any comments, drop them below, and we're going to answer them. Make sure we do that throughout the entire talk. Yeah, what is the other Nick's last name, by the way? I don't know it, Lewis. That guy he talked my ear off for an hour the other night, so God bless him. I love him.
All right, let's get into it.
Before we get into it,
you just proved what? Right.
What? Before we get into it, what the hell did you want to say?
Oh, listen here, okay? We had a PPC come in. Are you kidding me? It says it's on.
Which one did you grab?
I gave them both. We're both on the roads. The same one, bro.
Okay, it's not push it in. All right, you're good.
Can you hear me? Test.
He had it stuck in his ass.
My ass pocket. Okay. Anyways, I had a call come in yesterday evening.
PPC lead.
Yeah, PPC. So this was from our main inbound, and essentially this old lady is under contract right now, supposed to close in 3 days via sub-2. So someone is buying her property subject to their existing mortgage.
Is this the one that it was somebody told her they're going to market it? They signed a marketing agreement?
Oh, no, that's...
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I talked about that one yesterday, as I love to shit talk wholesalers.
Well, this is why, I'm talking about it. And this is definitely off topic to today's discussion. Anyways, the most important thing when you are marketing to a seller an option, right? Like I'm pitching this creative strategy because there's no other way to get you out of the house, right? The word she kept using with me was that someone was assuming her loan, and then they were giving her $40,000 on top of that. Now, here's the main kicker. You can assume loans. This is a real thing. However, you cannot assume someone's pre-existing interest rate. So that she's fixed at 2.5%. If I assume that loan and I apply, the bank's going to be like, yeah, pound sand, bro. I'm not giving you 2.5%. I don't have to. I'm going to give you 7%. But you can have her balance, but I'm going to do it at 7%. So no one is assuming her loan. They're just trying to buy it sub 2, but they don't have the right word. So this is another great case of some guy found a freaking Facebook group and said, oh my God, I'm going to start buying homes for free. And then I'm also going to give you $40,000, right? The lady doesn't have a place to move. She wants to buy a house out of state. She needs the cash to do it. They don't have a lease back in place. They've done no diagnosing of the seller's needs and wants or needs and desires. And now they've extended it. They pushed it back. They tried to price drop a couple grand out of their cash to seller because it smelled like cigarettes, right? So that's something that they already knew going into this contract.
She tastes like cigarettes.
And she's like, I want to know if what they're doing is legal or, you know, if I'm just being paranoid. And I was like, the problem is they didn't express to you how this works. So you are most likely going to talk to the bank and ruin the transaction. Because if you tell the bank, well, oh, someone assumed my loan, right? Like, no, they didn't.
The thing, all right, so a couple things to adjust there, right? Because I just heard that story for
Oh,
the
actually,
first
hold on.
time.
I need to backtrack.
All right.
Sorry. So in the
Is there
conversation,
more that pisses you off?
Yes.
Because I'm already angry.
No, it gets worse. I'm
All
just
right,
ADD
cool.
as fuck. Okay, so they were telling her, I'm going to assume your loan, but the mortgage stays in her name. That would be true if it was a sub 2, but if you're assuming someone's loan, she walks away from it completely. Name off title, name off the loan, walks away free and clear. You still go through the title company. Standard closing, right? It would be as if like I'm buying Nick's house with a loan, right? Or Nick's like, hey, my balance, I'll give it to you, but you just have to get approved for it, and then we'll work out the cash later. So they're trying to sub to it by ruining the deal simultaneously because they're telling her all the wrong things. And now she thinks it's illegal and she's calling other companies.
Nomenclature matters, right? And I love the fact that I just confidently said that, and I really don't even know if nomenclature is the correct word to use there.
Lewis.
So, but no,
Sub 2, okay.
words matter, okay, is
Yes,
what he's
yes.
getting at.
Do not use the word assumption or assume or any of that garbage unless you are literally going to go to Bank of America, submit an application for her balance. If I am buying your property subject to, I'm not assuming anything,
You're
right?
buying it subject to the underlying
Exactly.
lien.
So I'm just using her login at Bank of America, connecting my checking account to it, and every month I'm paying her mortgage. Mortgage is in her name. You'll have power of attorney. You can sell it and do whatever you want. You possess title, ideally the right way. You use an attorney. Don't put it in your own personal name like some jackasses do when they sub to a property. Because if the bank decides, hey, let's go ahead and look through our records and see what's changed, the first red flags are like, okay, well, why do you have new contact information? Why is it a different bank account that's paying for
Insurance
it?
changes,
And insurance.
right? So a lot of times that's another, people always, all right, so digressing backward, all right, we're going into like how you can fuck up a sub 2 deal, and that's not the point of today's conversation or this discussion that we're getting into. It's more so that wholesaler's an asshole because why?
He doesn't know how to pitch the deal, and that goes hand in hand
Well,
with
not
trying to
even
solve
that. Like
problems.
he's right into saying, "Hey, listen, I'm going to assume your loan. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that." He's making these promises, saying that person's going to do it. That's meanwhile, he never had the intentions to. He never had the ability to. All right, I guarantee you, if he goes to try to assume it, or if it blows up in his face, he can't afford that goddamn deal. I guarantee it, just because he is a wholesaler trying to get into it for the cheapest way possible. Okay.
Yeah, and also $40,000 for a sub 2. I don't care how much equity you have. Selling a sub 2, you can do it. Sure, we've sold aside sub 2s and made 20 grand on them. Great. But here's the thing: 40,000 cash to seller. Okay, you have your closing costs regardless, and they're a little more expensive because not only is it the whole title transfer, but you have to have power of attorney. You have to have these other things. Oftentimes, you're putting them in a trust. So you're paying this attorney to do more stuff than normal. That goes on top. So now you're at $50,000 so far. Guess how are you gonna make money? You want to assign it and make a profit? Okay, Mr. Buyer, I want 10 grand in my pocket too, right? So now you're at $60,000 or $70,000 that someone has to bring to the table just to get 20% equity at 2.5%. Like, you're not going to sell that deal, right? So you continue to push it, delay it. The seller's all stressed. Meanwhile, you're not getting the seller anywhere because she doesn't know where she's going or how she's going to get there. She needs that 40 grand. Why try to buy the deal sub 2 if you know she needs 40,000 to get the hell out of it? It's just not a deal that you should be buying with that strategy.
It's the problem with trying to back your ass into a deal. You're going to get stuck with shit in your ass. On to today's topic. I saw 15 minutes. Yeah, we're at 15. We're good. We're past 10 minutes. Hey, guys, I'm really excited for today's call, mainly because Tommy's back. Woohoo! Not even that Tommy's back. I actually get other people in the same room with me. So I'm not talking to myself today. I really love that. Welcome back, Tommy. Today's call, I want to go into AOHs. When are you going to run into them? All right, let me actually have first. What deals do you run into AOHs? Inheritance, probate deals.
Yep. It can be land, homes, whatever, anything. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, you have to do affidavit of heirships to get in certain bank accounts.
Mm-hmm. So it is something that listen, guys, you're gonna run into. If you haven't yet, you're lucky. Just because you dodged and you got easy deals. This right here, this affidavit of heirship that you're gonna do 100 times over. I have plenty of them. I have our old ones from different files that I pulled out that we can use as examples.
Well, keep in mind, this is just a questionnaire.
Yeah.
You're not an attorney. You're not an escrow agent. You're never gonna actually do an AOH. You're gonna give the title company every piece that they need to it.
So that's what I was just about to answer is why would I have to do this, right? If I'm just wholesaling the property, if I'm just taking it, getting under contract and going to assign my rights to it, why would I have to get involved with all this? Your point of contact to that seller. You're the one that made the agreements. You're the one that made all the negotiations, spent all the time to build up trust, okay? You're the one that said we can get it done. So guess what? You're the best source to get things done.
And you keep the deal under control.
Exactly. That's what we're talking about here. So you're going to go to your title company and you're going to say, hey, I have this great home run deal. Go make me money. Tell me where my check comes in, right? And then people sod off. They get mad at title company. They say, when's closing? When's closing? What am I waiting for? Well, we're waiting for your insurance company to send us something. Oh, well, did you call them? That's your answer? No, you should hang up, call your insurance company, and get on the phone and figure out why your closing is delayed. Right, Paul? I see you in the chat.
But also, most importantly, the title company has, a shit ton of other files.
They don't have the time to be, right?
They don't have the time to be filling all these things out. Now, yes, when the title search and the commitment comes back, it's going to say we need, all of these things on Schedule C fixed relating to the inheritance. So they'll know what you have to get, and the title company will and can do it. Do you want to wait 3 months? Do you want to burn a relationship with your title company because you're lazy? I've seen guys get fired by their title company because they continue to send these shitty inheritance deals, and nobody's helping the title company. And then because they bought it for too much and couldn't clear title, the title company is wasting money on files that they're not getting paid for.
If you want to make a $70,000 assignment, this is how you do it. You hold control of the contract the entire time, from opening to closing, all right? Getting all the parties to play nice together. That is the hardest part. That is literally, we talk about this all the time. In real estate, you are a counselor. You're a family counselor more times than not.
Yeah.
So you have to sit there, you have to sit on the couch, talk to mom, try to find out what actually happened. I'm trying not to get off into spatial land where I make up people and situations. So I want to talk about the deal that we have that you.
So we'll use this to as a scenario to draw out from personal experience what we've done. Like Tony mentioned earlier, pre-meeting or pre-call, if I sit here and I draw out this family tree for you, and then I go on a tangent off of a rabbit hole that you're going to run into, it's going to get lost in translation between my voice and your ears trying to piece together what this means. Right? Like, at the end of the day, don't be lazy. There was a time with, I think, the file that I sent you that we're probably going to talk about, where I stayed in the office until 8 or 9 at night for 2 weeks straight because I had 2 complicated AOH deals that I needed to prioritize getting done and still focus on trying to buy others. Right? So if you're relying on the title company, again, you don't have control over your sellers. It's going to take too much time. Most of these people need the money. They don't have time to waste. You have to make sacrifices as the acquisitions or transactions coordinator to get the deal across the table.
You know, you just brought up a good point, is transactions coordinator. I'm a newbie wholesaler. Everybody tells you the reason why I'm going to get blasted, right, in the comments later on by other wholesalers that are doing the one-call closes, right, walking around, chests is all puffed out, is because they hire out TC in most cases and stuff like that. That's what they tell people. That's what they do. I know the real people, they all do their TC in-house, right? I know King Closer does their TC in-house. I'm pretty sure Casey, right, they're all back there crushing it. You have to have somebody in your company, okay? If you're doing so many deals that you need to outsource that, guess what? You got other problems, all right? Do not hire out to a TC that's a VA, because they're not going to do anything other than piss off title companies.
Or your sellers.
I promise you. Or your sellers. They're going to break relationships. I don't care what anybody says.
I have folders that I keep, because Tony always says, like, keep your files, you know, for a certain length of time to make sure, even if it's online, whatever, where I'll fill out one of these on the phone while I'm talking to them for 2 hours, and I haven't even gone home and eaten dinner or anything, and I'm sitting here writing it out, and then come tomorrow, something else comes up, or I find something else out. Because there's certain deals where you have to do an affidavit for mom, and then you have to do an affidavit of heirship for dad. And then each thing can go down this whole rabbit hole that's going to scare a lot of people. That's why a lot of these probate deals fall out. Someone's like, oh, well, they died in jail. How do I find their death certificate, right? Like, Google it. Make phone calls, right? Like, you can cure every single problem in title unless you give up, right? Like,
all of this information that you can find, by the way, date of birth, date of death, all of this is public information. You have to just start going out and becoming a detective investigator, right? Or private investigator is what I'm trying to think.
It's also on the death certificate.
Yeah. But even trying to get that document.
Yeah. We've had to pay sellers to get an Uber down to the county clerk or whatever, and then pay for a death certificate to be printed off. So if it's a good deal, you have margin, you know you're talking to the actual heirs, spend a couple bucks. Spend some extra time. Go pick them up yourself. Take them down there. You need to have all the right pieces to the deal.
Sorry. Trying to do something, but without making a scene of it, and I can't think of a good way to do it. So one thing, negotiations-wise, all right. When in a lead would you have to deal with that?
Like pre-contract?
Yeah, exactly. Lead comes in, even if you're cold calling, warm leads, cold leads, doesn't matter. This isn't a first topic conversation.
No.
This is later on.
This is just my experience with being able to do this is just another grab, right? Like, oh my God, Mason, everybody's like scared to help me do this, or they're saying it'll take this amount of time and I don't have money to go to court over it. And then I come in and I tell you, like, I can fix it for you as long as you cooperate and communicate with me. To answer your question, though, when a lead comes in, right, perfect example, most of the time they're going to tell you that it's an inheritance. Don't, you'd be like, so Jerry calls me, I look on title, or I look on tax roll, rather.
That should sound a lot
Jim
better.
owns the property. What's your relationship to Jim? They're like, oh, it was my grandpa or my father. You know,
Sorry,
he
guys.
passed away, so the house is mine. So you're going to know going into the deal that's an inheritance. Right? So then that's when you can start peeling layers back, because as me and Nick talk about a lot, the house doesn't fucking matter, right? Like, focus on where they're going, who's there, why they're selling, how much do they want, what's wrong with it. And then you can go and see the house in person and then use that as your final tool to buy it cheaper.
To put this into context, Ryan, Discord member, sent us a deal. It's down in Austin. We're working with the seller. Called the seller on last Friday's live call. All right. Tony talked to the seller. They need time. They need, they're not in a rush, right? They've been dealing with this for 4 years now. They've gone through 3 different lawsuits, okay? So in your head, right, you got to realize that they have some time still. They're not in a rush. But with all that being said, and this is where we come in as the guiding hand, is like that seller has numbers. They're ready to sign. They want to get money out of this property. It's been held up for a while. So they're throwing numbers at us, right? The initial offer was $350 and $400. So it's a deal in Austin. Can we make a couple grand off that real quick? I'm sure we can, right? Like, let's continue to fold back that onion. But at the same time, knowing all that has to go into it, knowing how to solve the problem, I bet that's probably not a good deal at $350 or $400. So let's slow our hand down. There's no reason to even discuss numbers. We still haven't done that on our end. Okay, they're throwing numbers at us, and it's been almost a week now, and we still haven't even mentioned something that we would offer them. Okay, why? We have plenty of reasons. One, we're still waiting to get access. We're slow playing it. We don't have to buy every deal. It's the whole point of being the professional and learning how to buy everything and close everything. So, that on that, now we got an AOH or anything. Never once did we go into that. No, never did we say, all right, well, we're going to have to do this, that, or the other. We're going to have to get all these signatures and documents. No.
You just don't want it to sound, you don't want it to sound scarier than them just spending a couple grand and wasting 9 months waiting for a judge. Like Dallas right now, I'm pretty sure is backed up. So a probate with no disputes averages 3 months. And that's with like just a couple heirs. Right now, if you have, let's say they don't even have a will, what are you probating, right? You're just bringing something in front of a judge saying, hey, you know, me, my mom, or me and my sisters are getting this house from my mom or dad, right? And the judge is like, okay, cool. Are you guys fine splitting it all evenly? No, right? Then this is when these problems come up versus like an AOH. If it doesn't matter if they have a will, because that will is just a piece of paper unless it's actually put in front of a judge. So if one of the brothers is like, screw you, I want more money because I paid the taxes or something, my tool is, okay, well, if you're fine with the sales price, he wants to make sure he's winning because he paid taxes, just reimburse him out of the proceeds for the taxes and then split the rest up after, right? So I'm acting as like the litigator, or I'm mediating just like a judge would. But the point is, it's the sellers don't have to wait 6 months, 3 months, whatever. They don't have to pay nearly as much. But if I start coming in and I'm like, well, I'm going to have 8 signatures and 2 witnesses per affidavit and this and that, the sellers are going to look at me like, what the fuck is this guy talking about, right? Versus...
Well, it also gets like personal. Like, oh, this buyer wants way too much information. They want to bother too many people. They want me to... No, that's not what it's about.
You have one big point of contact. You have your seller. That seller needs to be your voice unless he's got a bad relationship with certain siblings, right? So meaning I'm going to ask a question, he's going to give me an answer. If he doesn't have it, let's work together to find it, right? I'll let them know that I have a way to get them possession of title so we can actually buy it, and this is that way. But I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole until it's time to start filling it out, and that's after we have contract and at least have sent it to the title company.
Whiteboard. My fingers are itching. No, there's a black one for you. I got my blue one. I'm not going to go fighting you.
Okay,
so let's start off with, we don't have to use names, right? They can be 123 Main Street. We're talking to a seller. But what's the situation? What's the scenario? Who is the seller?
Let's just make it easy for baseline conversation, and then you can kind of use this template.
I'm gonna make it harder, so don't worry about that.
No. I'm saying baseline, and then we're going to throw a bad variable.
Okay, cool.
Right,
cool,
because you had asked earlier what happens if like mom and dad died, but they were remarried at some point. This is when you'll be able to start breaking that down, right? Because the time frame in each change in events is the most important.
Let me write, because you're writing with your feet.
So just do mom, dad, both dead.
They're both deceased.
Now, for starters, if we're treating this as if I'm actually doing it with them on this questionnaire, what's their date of birth and what's their date of death? You need that.
So That's the first things you're at. Well, not that it's asking, but it's information you need.
The questionnaire is going to want to know this. DOB, DOD.
Date of birth and date of death. For example, mom dies in 2011. Dad died. Is that, well, they're both dead, we said, right?
Dad dies in 2020.
Dad died in 2020.
So automatically, her 50% is ruled over to him. It's just not documented unless he actually takes, the time to go to the county clerk or whatever and refile. So her portion goes to him. Okay? Have they ever been married before? Do you have any kids outside of this marriage that aren't our siblings? So let's draw that out. So to make it, we're going to make it complicated using this route, okay? So they have 3 kids together, and then mom has 1 kid outside of them.
I usually use Word for these, by the way. You can use Word and then go in and click on hierarchy, and then it makes it really easy, and just, you don't have to try to confuse.
Now, so I normally draw this out.
Or just use pen and paper.
I normally draw this out when I'm on the phone with them, and then I reference back the questionnaire if I forget something, because we're all human, and then I take all this information, fill out the questionnaire, and then go from there. So a lot of times what you'll see in these affidavits, these people
And then you said she?
And then she'll have a kid outside of the marriage.
Fucking sleazy.
It gets worse.
Oh, what?
No, like that's not
Mom.
that hard. That's not that hard to fix.
Oh.
Yeah, so this is just a kid that she had before marriage with this guy, right? So this is a half sibling. Do you know where they are? Are they alive? Right? Like these are questions you need to be asking them. Oh yeah, we have Thanksgiving every year with them. Awesome. Do they want to be a part of the sale, or are they just going to relinquish any rights they might have?
Why does Jon Snow dad? They were together way longer before that.
So her having a kid outside of the marriage interferes with this. This 50% is now broken up by him. So technically, he would have, 25% of this. Okay? So that doesn't mean that now dad has all of it and these 3 kids get it, and then John is just out of the way. It doesn't work like that.
Doesn't he get?
Kids are the only type of heirs initially from the top. So it goes spouse to spouse, and then it goes from parent down to children. If you don't have children, it goes to parent siblings. So it's automatically going to fall down no matter who. If it's their siblings or their children, it goes down to the children first. And it doesn't go back up to parents or something unless there's nobody else around.
I wanna again slow it down one more time, just from my whole brain, and just make sure I get it out there. Teresa, Mutual Title, big sponsor of ours. She gave us this great presentation. It's in the Academy. It's in the Discord. I will definitely make sure I get it out to everybody. If you want to see it, comment, and we'll get it to you. But what it is it has a big breakdown of the percentages of kids and who gets what. I'm not trying to make this sound overcomplicated. It is really complicated very quickly, is what we're getting at, right? And then it's not even like a show. These are just general questions.
But by the end of this, I'm gonna
because I'm over here saying, does he get? He doesn't get 50% of 50. No, right, right. So what is percentage? And then you got to start breaking it down. And listen, go to the professionals is what I'm kind of ranting about right now. Go to the actual. Make sure you always have a professional part of your team. Your job in all of this is to play nice. You're the person helping everybody get the job done and move the peg along the board to title and closing and all of that.
Now,
right?
to talk numbers, I have to point this out because this drives me crazy. If a seller asks the title company, how much money am I getting? What percent should I expect? If title has confirmed that there's 4 parties getting money, they are going to tell the sellers 25%. Now that might upset them and it might, satisfy them. So I'm not going to sit here the whole time I'm on the phone with these guys and be like, yeah, you're getting 15%, you're getting 25%, you're getting 30%. If I do that, I'm setting up the risk of, like their expectations not being met.
I tell everybody, I'd rather surprise you than disappoint
Exactly.
you. Right? I'm not exactly sure the exact dollar amount. I'm not sure the exact percentage, anything like that.
But I know it'll be split up evenly between all of you. right? So let's
move on.
Okay,
sorry,
so,
that's me saying it, right?
So this is for alive.
Yeah.
So alive, dead. Let's do
bro,
that.
you gonna kill off the fourth?
Yeah.
Joffrey.
Okay, so now this guy's dead. He has 2 children alive.
Doesn't matter if he was married. They have to be bastards too.
Yes and no. If the kids are minors, I don't want to get into the whole challenging portion of it. So let's just keep it. Let's keep it simple because this rabbit hole goes everywhere.
There's no wife. He's dead, and he had
2 adult children.
The 18, right? Is
Yeah.
what
Otherwise,
matters.
you have to get ad litems and all that crap. None of that matters. Don't worry about this. I'm just pointing out what we're going to do. Okay. So now we know that there's 4 parties. Each person is getting 25% of the proceeds. Okay. So that means that this guy, his 25% is going to be 12.5 per kid. So it just gets split down the middle for these 2 children.
Would you say 12.8?
12.25. Sorry, whatever the fuck. You get the point.
It's 12.5.
Oh, yeah,
it's
sorry.
12
Okay, yeah.
That's why I was like.
Long day. Okay. Okay, and I've been up early.
1/2 of 25. Carry the 2.
PIMDAS. Okay. The only reason that this is important to just note is so that everybody, if you have to, you can set an expectation for them, right? So if they're like, well, those 2 punk-ass kids don't deserve that 25%, or this one specifically doesn't deserve it. Again, you're just playing into the emotion.
The best part is all of this is you're probably talking to this person throughout all that.
And then they'll know that it's distributed between the kids. Otherwise, said brother or sister would have gotten the 25%, right? So why does this matter, or why would this hurt your brain? I need all of their information.
So that's what I was just about to start highlighting. Is you need the date of birth. Sorry, you need the date of death and the date of birth on anybody and everybody. If
marital status, and I need to know where they live.
Marital status. Location. Date of birth.
Potentially date of death, and then the death certificate if they are dead.
Oh, yeah.
Now, because that's just proof of death and proof of identity, essentially, right? So why is this not simple? Okay, mom dies, she has other kids, affidavit of heirship for mom, okay? Proving that it goes to dad and this guy, okay? Now I have to do an affidavit for dad. Now I have these children identified as...
So wait, step back, because I'm a little slow sometimes and stupid.
I'm a little fast.
Say that again.
Every dead person on title, or that should be going on title, needs an affidavit of heirship.
You're saying that every person on title needs this, well, whatever document you're using. Not every company or title
for dad
company
to get mom's
uses
portion,
the same document, but they need this 7-page document in a sense. They need this 5-page, whatever that questionnaire is.
Now, unless mom had it set up to
over.
where when she dies it goes to dad, or they had a will and it was probated, unless that's done, then you don't have to. But most of the time, title is going to be like, oh, thank you so much for giving me dad's affidavit, but we have to do mom's because because she's dead too, right? It automatically goes to him. This is literally just so the title examiners, underwriters, whatever, they see that we're doing it the right way and we're actually dealing with the right people. Otherwise, last minute, you're going to be like, oh my God, hell yeah, I just did a whole affidavit by myself and it got approved. You send it off to close. Hello, what's wrong, title? Oh, you forgot one. Sorry. And then I'm trying to remember, I want to say you would also have to do one for him too. Maybe not.
Well, of course.
I'm pretty sure.
It has to be, because there has to be where's their portions. And
yeah,
it has
so
to show, it has to track and everything. So.
But to note.
Because what happens if that guy was married and divorced and had another bastard Jon Snow off on the side, right? Is that, does he get 33% of 25%? What is that? 1/3 over.
So
1/3 over.
Let's say that this kid is who you're dealing with, right? Everybody's peachy. They're all on board to sell. They don't really care about the money. They just want to get rid of the house. It's falling apart. This would be your affiant. That's the person that's filing said paperwork. That's the name of the person, and it's right here, right? So if you're looking at this questionnaire, if you want to look at it while we're talking, if you want me to pause for a second, whatever. So there's a relative that's completing.
Tommy can pull it up.
There's a relative that's completing the affidavit of heirship. It's called an affiant, right? So you'll have.
Is that how? I thought it was a fiant.
I thought it was too, and then the title company laughed at me. Potato, potato, in my opinion. Nonetheless, guys, okay?
Title is such assholes all the time, right? Like sitting up there on the throne judging you just because. Get outside.
I would hate to have to do that full time though. Affidavit of heirships are always actually kind of entertaining until it gets worse than this.
What's your record
Of heirs?
Yeah.
Oh god, dude. Like 10, and then like 3 of them were dead. Three of the heirs were dead, and then they all had children. And then we had to prove someone wasn't actually their kid, because let's say mom had an obituary and Jon Snow was on there, but dad never noticed or knew that mom had Jon Snow as a kid. It doesn't matter. I'm still going to have to get him out of the way.
There have been ones where we found out that there was a previous marriage that was never.
Like a whole other family.
Yeah, whole other family. That the kid never knew about, that, right? Wasn't that a lead? The kid called in, and you were talking to the child. I love how I'm trying to remember your story.
Well, we all hear about it in the meeting.
Yeah. But the kid called in trying to figure it out. I think Jessica was talking to him, and then, no, you know, Dad never married anybody ever.
Oh,
right?
you're talking about, I know which one you're talking about.
And turned to find out, no, he married back in the day, and he had a whole nother family.
Now,
Wild times, guys. Wild times.
Obviously, some of this gets worse, and if you're not able to clear this up, or it's a really complicated one, I'll fix it for you. Just pay me, because I'm not going to waste time for free. I'd rather be, eating food than fixing your deals. But the point is, I'm here to help. If you're a VIP member of ours, that automatically means that I'm going to help you fix it regardless.
You get to brag for yourself.
What happened?
One of your deals, I don't know which one he's talking about, but what was the assignment on it?
Like 74 or something. We had a double close on it, so it would have been like 80, but yeah, it was like a $75,000 deal. But that's why it's important to do this. Otherwise, that's
I want to clap for you.
That $70,000 carrot that you're just looking at on your board could fall through at any time, right? So if you know it's a good deal, you're dealing with the right people, rush the shit out of getting this done. Right? We all want money. We all need money. We all want deals done. Cool. I don't want this sitting on the board knowing that I'm going to have to come in every day and stay late to try to fix these issues. As soon as you get the contract, send it to title. Let them know that there's heirs and you're working on collecting all the data so they can be prepared.
Follow up with title. Try to make sure you know what is needed to close, right? Not, hey, what's slowing this down?
Don't ask them first day.
Nothing like that.
Wait till the commitment comes back.
Wait until the commitment comes back. Stay up to date on your files. Find out if it's your side dragging it or if it's the buyer's side dragging it and something's missing. All of this goes so far. It's not even funny.
Yeah, be proactive though. Like start to fill your questionnaires out before the commitment comes back. But when the commitment comes back, you'll know like, okay, well I added this person and I don't really need to add this person. Or, oh, I didn't even think about that. He needs to go on here, right? That just kind of confirms what you have to do, because the last thing I want is to get an email back that says I did it wrong and then have to do it all over again. Because then I'm wasting my time and the title company's time by having to review my work and then do it again and again.
So in this situation, right, we're talking about profit and percentages, right? That's what these are. But it's also ownership in a sense.
Yeah.
So when it comes down to person in charge, right? Person in contact, I want to change that, right?
Oh, so actually to your point, let's...
But like, what were you about to say? Because now you derailed.
None of these people have any more, right now, none of these characters have any more power over one another.
That's kind of what I'm getting at.
They just have to agree. Now let's say that, because this happens a lot, and I'll let you, don't lose your thought. But let's say this kid has power of attorney over the estate. That does not mean that this kid can sign for everybody else and choose anything. I still have to have them sign because I am not a judge, right?
What happens if these two hate each other? This kid turned trans, and now he's dragging his feet, and he doesn't want to sell. He doesn't want to sign.
That happens a lot, actually. That happens a lot. And then that comes to your relationship building with this person. and then you just have to tell Megan, we'll say, whatever. Megan has a brother named Derek, and Derek's an asshole. According to Megan, Derek hates his sister because she's a piece of shit. Whatever, okay? I'm going to tell Megan, hey, I'm going to talk to him as if I don't like you, and I'm going to become his best friend, and I'm going to get him on board to sell. And then you're going to know that I'm really your best friend, and I think it's fuck Derek all day, right? Like, so you have to, and I'm being dramatic about this, but you have to plan to being friends with everybody and cutting communication between them, right? Because I don't want them beefing.
Yeah,
If I'm not around to control it, like.
Well, I think it also goes into that, again, just to try to draw everything back in for the main topic of the video, right? 2 ADD guys.
Crushing it.
No, trying to keep it together, it matters in that initial discussion. Not, oh, how are you getting along with your siblings? But when you have that initial call, asking about the family members is necessary, okay? Not trying to figure out exact details and, oh, how many kids do they have? When were they born? When was the date of death? Nothing like that. But having a natural conversation, figuring out, oh, what was your family like? Oh, I have 4 brothers. I got the shit kicked out of me the entire way growing up. Like, what was yours like? Oh.
Yeah, well, I was the youngest.
Mom was a crackhead? Oh, that sucks. I don't know much about that. But
I like how you worded that. Keep it simple when you're talking to them. Save your breath. So whenever let's put contract and rapport aside. Megan loves you. Derek's fine. Whatever. To keep your question simple, it's like, okay, so you have mom and dad, you have 4 siblings we know about, great. I have, like, what are their names? Give me other names, right? Do you have their birthdays? Cool. Are they alive, right? Like, simple questions. Don't rush into each person. Like, just take it slow, but still direct, right? Because you want to be efficient with it. Versus if I just send this questionnaire to sellers, which a lot of wholesalers do.
Oh my God, don't do that.
The seller's gonna pick this up, put their glasses on, sit down on the couch, put it back down and go do something else.
They're also going to say,
it's going to take them a
you're not
month to do it.
paying me enough for this.
Yeah.
If you're making your money, guys, you have to earn it.
Oh, well,
okay?
well, Nick, you said that you were going to fix the problem for me. Why did you send me this questionnaire?
That's the whole thing. You're solving the problems. You're not trying to create new ones, okay? Understanding the documents involved in real estate is solving problems, okay? All of this information is the stuff that you need to gather that Tommy's scrolling through right now, all right? If anybody has any questions, let us know. Drop them in the comments. As always, sidetrack me. I love it.
So you can find online a lot of things I think Nick said earlier, like on death and birth and all that stuff's public record. Now, you're not going to get their social. You might get pieces of it, whatever. So most likely, well, not most likely, you're going to have proof of death of some sort. So there's certain weird scenarios where the title company just needs to prove this guy died. And I've had people, like I've told buddies of mine, like, okay, I know where he's buried. I found it on Ancestry. Take a picture of his grave. Right? There's no picture online, so go and take one. And then title's like, cool, we know he's dead. Awesome, let's move on.
That's a little cool pro tip right there, is you can actually go online and find photos of headstones. Isn't there a resource for, like...
Ancestry directs you to, like, the Find My Grave or whatever the fuck website. But sometimes there's no pictures.
It's like the death business card. It works.
Yeah.
So.
Look up, if you're trying to find information or you're only talking to one person and you don't want to bother them or you don't trust them, look up John Doe, Texas, 2019 obituary or whatever you think he died. You're probably going to find an obituary, and that paper is going to say, Dad was preceded in death by so-and-so. So he joined his siblings in heaven, and then, he left his survivors of these kids, right? So you know it's true. You have the right people. Anyways, back to public data. You can find marital history. You can find their marriage certificates online. All things that you're probably going to need for this questionnaire. Like, when were they married? Where were they married? If they got divorced, you have to find a decree. The
more easier, simple things you can fill in, it makes their life easier, all right? You're not trying to fill in information for them. That's not right what you're doing. It is just trying to fill in gaps, right? You're trying to fill in the puzzle.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What were we talking about next? We were in the middle of something before that, I think.
Okay, so I guess back to the demonstration.
Mm-hmm.
So now we've established...
Oh, we were talking about rights and ownership and stuff like that. That's what it was, 25-25. If this person hates, if they don't get along together, that's where we were at.
Yeah, so you just want to be their buddy. You want to find out why they're mad at each other and why he's going to let this house not get sold. And unfortunately, a lot of this kind of shit falls into place on deals that like the home is in really bad shape, and sometimes there's a reverse mortgage that's being called due, or maybe there's a mortgage in general and they're in foreclosure or pre-foreclosure. So this guy's either going to get money now or never.
Another thing that we always talk about, right, in the community is when we talk about closing everything. All right, I totally understand. I hate my brothers too, right? Like, that's okay. I can still buy the property from you. I can buy your legal rights, and then I'll just handle that later on with him, right? Mm-hmm. I can buy the entire 75 and keep 25 out.
Let's try not to do that.
I'm not going about that and saying, you know, but there's always ways to skin this cat.
And technically, they could take him to court, right? Like, you really could get him to sign, because a judge is only going to go to court so many times over one deal before he just forces everyone to sell, right? So a lot of people, like buddies of mine who have done this and they got caught in the whole, well, this guy is not letting us close and he's a brother or something. They're just scared to find him or call him. Like, you can get his phone number and talk to him. And then if this guy's being an asshole to you, cool, I'm going to mirror it too. Look, bro, I just want to make some fucking money, right? Your siblings, they're selling, they're going to get paid, awesome. But hey, guess what? I don't have to buy the deal and I can let this house go into foreclosure and then everybody loses. Do you want to get paid now? Right? Do you want to help me? Can I just have you sign? I'll send a notary to you and I'll wire you the money, right? Like, keep it blunt and direct. And if the guy's like, a lot of times these people who are holding back closing, they think that I'm calling them and I'm like not on their side. I'm on everybody's side because I want my commission check, right? Like,
well, they also think that they're entitled to more, right? They think. One, right, there's always the value game, right? There's always the property is worth more than it really is. So I'm going to hold out, I'm going to sell it myself, yada, yada, yada. They don't understand the actual costs and all that involved. And then two, it's the, when they get down to it, some people would rather just stick a thorn in somebody else's side than get $5,000-$10,000, right? A lot of times they see the little pennies that they're actually getting, and they're not happy with it. When other people are involved.
That's a good point. So when
then they feel like somebody else is winning on them. It's not us. Yeah. It's not them. It's not the other siblings. It's that end buyer that's buying a great deal, right? Like, somebody out there is taking advantage of me. That entitlement is always involved.
That's a good point, because when I call these people, my initial approach is like, hey, John, you know, my name is Mason. I'm actually in the process of buying your parents' home. I've been working with your sister and brother. You know, I just wanted to reach out and introduce myself, you know, so that way you have my number, you know who I am. If we have to meet up and, you know, shake hands, let's do that. And then they'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, I heard something about that. Okay, awesome. Well, you know, we're really not far away from getting closing done. I've already done a lot of the paperwork for the inheritance. Title says it's good to go. I really just need to meet you or have a notary come out and get you to sign. Well, what are you buying it for? 100. 100? It's worth 250, right? Then you can go down the layered conversation and prove why or why not. Like, that's a good point. And then his next second point was, what if this guy wants to feel like he's winning? So an easy one is, okay, well, what pleases you? Well, I just want to make more than my sister because she's a bitch. Okay, have you paid for anything on the house? Yeah, actually, I fixed the door last year. And, oh, by the way, I paid taxes because they were behind. Okay, cool. Send me how much that was, find a receipt, and I'll send it to title. They'll reimburse you all that money from the $100,000, and then the rest of the proceeds get split up between y'all. So he's winning. He's getting his money back. He's making more than everybody else.
That's another part of negotiations, right? Like, a lot of times people are paying to maintain that, okay? Twofold on that to touch on. One, maintaining and improving are two different things.
Yep.
So when you're talking to sellers and they just said, hey, well, I just put in all new windows. Well, no, all new windows might be different. But if they just said, hey, I don't fucking know. Give me some examples.
Say, because I brought this up to Nick the other day.
But it's a good point.
If the seller's like, well, I'm not going to sell it to you for 100. I want 150 because I put windows in, a new roof, and something else 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Like, yes, that's cool.
That's just maintaining.
But it's maintenance. It's like doing an oil change and going to the dealership and saying, I want more money because I just serviced my truck. It doesn't matter. You're keeping the asset afloat and stable, versus you do all those things and now the house looks gorgeous and you make it this Taj Mahal of a renovation. That's when value goes up.
Yeah. There's a difference between actual improving and then just home ownership.
Because I'm still going to have to go in and put a new roof on it most likely anyways. An 8-year-old roof,
In Texas.
In Texas.
In Texas.
That's like,
Because I know we're on YouTube, all right? So a lot of people are going to yell at us for that. In Texas, the average roof, it's getting dinged the shit out of it with hail. So
yeah, the lifespan of a roof is typically between 5 and 8 years.
you go to the Northeast and
they'll have a roof on for 40
growing
years.
moss, right? Like they got vegetation on them because they're so old.
And in other states, like I was talking to my mom's dad, so my grandpa on the California side, he was like, what's the most common repair needed on y'all's projects? And I said, foundation. He was like, foundation? He's like, I've flipped like 30 homes in my career and I've never once had to touch foundation. And I was like, the last 30 that we bought had foundation problems.
Every house in Texas has foundation issues. Why? Because there's no basements. So also the soil expanding, contracting. Screw it. I'm not doing a foundation call today. So.
But anyways, that goes to the point of these people and what they've done to the house that makes it worth more money, and you can use that as a tool to tell them that it doesn't give them any more money. I can reimburse you for some of it, or all of it, but I'm not paying you more out of my pocket because I can't. So anyways, we have identified mom, dad, we have all the kids, find all the information with this questionnaire, as is not on this screen anymore, I don't think.
That's fine.
And then once you have all of that, and you have the death certificates, you're good. Like you send it off the title and make sure it's right.
You literally package it up with a nice little bow on it, and you hand it to title, and you say,
or scan it and email
"What
them.
next?" Right? And you sit there and you patiently wait on your hands for them to send you your money.
Well, because then they're going to have to schedule and whatever. And sorry, we're not done. This reminds me. So let's make this fun real quick before we're done. Where the fuck is it? Boom, here it is. Last page. Over. I think it doesn't matter. Page 4 of our questionnaire that the title company so kindly has given us. It's from it's First American Title. That's who actually wrote this. Each affidavit of heirship needs 2 disinterested witnesses. Okay? So if I have 3 affidavit of heirships, as long as my disinterested witnesses have known each person on here longer than 10 years, you can use the same 2 witnesses, and they'll just sign every affidavit with a notary. Now, if they didn't, then you have to find new witnesses.
What's an example of a bad witness? Like, what's a good witness? What's a bad witness?
A bad witness is someone who could be considered as an interested witness. So let's say Megan's husband wants to be a witness because she knew all of them the whole time. They were high school sweethearts. Wrong, because you are directly related to someone that's benefiting from the sale. That means you have interest in the deal. So you could lie about it, right? It's a liability issue. A disinterested
Insider
witness.
trading.
Exactly. A disinterested witness is most likely going to be like a neighbor that you've lived next door to 20 years and they grew up and hung out with you.
Does grandma work if you go up the ladder, right? Like if grandma's still alive here, does that work?
No. You don't want family members. Now, if grandma has a different last name and she just says she's a friend, I'm not going to call the cops on you, but we want to avoid doing that. Neighbors, friends, coworkers, teachers, whatever.
Arm's length, guys. Make sure that you there's something disconnecting you.
And it's like
them from each other, not you, because you're not part of their family.
And when you get to this point in it, ideally this is all pretty much done. I've had sellers that like they're old and all their friends have died. How am I going to find a witness? This and that, like because they're reading this and trying to say like, okay, well, a disinterested witness is someone who has no interest in the estate, not a spouse, child, or other individual who would gain from the decedent's passing. You have to have known the decedent for 10 years or longer, and they have to be willing to sign on this affidavit that to their best knowledge, everything is true. So they kind of have some risk. Now, it's very unlikely that a witness ever gets sued. But if they tell their old buddy from school, I need you to sign as a witness for this inheritance, they're like, a witness? Why would I put my name on the line? I haven't talked to you in 20 years, Bob, right? So you just have to take the stress out of it. Like, okay, I get it. You don't really have someone you think who would be a good disinterested witness. Let's work it out together. Your neighbor next door. You guys ever have barbecue parties back in the day? Oh, dude, all the time. We love Uncle Joe. That's what we call him. Ha. That's awesome. If he's still alive or you still have contact with him, let's call him and see if he'll sign as a witness. Most of the time, the neighbor will do it. Because it's not illegal. We're not committing any crimes by doing the affidavit the right way. Send out a notary, get your witnesses signed. Now, cool thing is, let's say neighbor Joe, Bob, whatever, is a witness. His wife can also be a witness. Because they're not interested in this at all other than helping the kids get it done. Mm-hmm. So boom, now you have your second witness. Oh, well, my neighbor's wife died. I don't have anybody else. Does your neighbor have any children? Yeah, I can ask, like, if they can do it. Boom, you have your other witness. It's not that hard.
They sign once and they're done, or they have to...
Witnesses just have to sign every affidavit that they're a part of, right?
Yeah.
So if you write disinterested witness 1 and 2 and all their information, right? So like the relationship that they had, how long they've known them, where they live and who they are, then they can sign on every affidavit with a notary or in person. So if they lived next door to one another, we can save notary fees and just pile you all in one house for a couple hours, not even, and have everybody sign.
Like a group signing is the best way if you can arrange that. Hell, man, bring over a crock pot and make a little barbecue out of it. But
Yeah, 'cause instead of six different notary trips, you're having one notary trip. So you're saving $1,000 on notary fees.
well, they're still going to bag you, good notaries. But
Well, right, because there's a lot
they're
more
gonna
to
sit
it.
there
But,
for a while.
but at least it's not separate
Listen,
notary.
yeah, no, you significant discount, right? But it saves a fortune.
Yeah.
Pro tip there. What? Where else do we want to go with this? Negotiations. Anybody has a question on anything we touched base on? We've kind of ran through the whole form. When to use it, why to use it, how to use it. We showed the damn thing.
Yeah, you're probably not going to remember anything that me and Nick just vomited on you.
By the way, none of this makes sense, and it changes every goddamn deal. Every deal is different. Every deal, I'm telling you, I can't stress this enough as family counselor, okay? Think of the most fucked up families, and you're going to find out people had babies with different ones, and...
Let me humor you guys for a second, because someone, was it Luis? Luis asked like what one of my hardest one was.
Yeah.
The 10 people one was not my hardest. That one was pretty cut and dry.
Lucia's had them in the 20s. I think it was 27.
But Lucia is
yeah.
my go-to. Nick's wife is awesome because nobody knows more about this than she does.
She works at Title.
She thinks it's fun. Like, she genuinely finds joy in tracking down these crackheads that might be living on a corner. So let's make this fun. I'm going to humor you guys, okay? Excuse me, sir. Okay. Mom has a kid outside the marriage. Jon Snow, who would be getting 25%, dead. Now what? Okay. He's got 3 kids. I'm just going to write K for kids. Okay?
Bro,
This is-
no.
Child. Nothing. You didn't see nothing.
Sit.
Okay. So this has happened. Mom had a son outside the marriage. We have these 2 alive. This guy dead. He's got 2 kids. Now we have found out that Jon Snow had 3 children of his own. Right? We're not going to talk about marital status or any of that right now. This is just kind of for humor. This has happened. Now what makes it even worse? This guy died in the hospital when he was born. I still need a death certificate.
So these 2 are splitting 25%.
Mm-hmm.
How do you track them down? Right? Like,
Ideally, they have an obituary, or when you do your skip trace, it'll say potential relatives. But the title company also, through their search, most likely it's going to, they can help you find people, right? Now these can be adopted children,
you
biological
know he
children.
sucks at this because the entire time he just stands like this. Like, you can face that camera, goddamn
I need to see the board so I can focus on my
I know,
train
but
of thought.
stand sideways.
Okay, so again, back to this. So I had identified that they had all these people, and they were like, "Oh, but John died after, after my dad, right? So he died last year or whatever." That means that I have to find these people, let them know that we're buying their dad's mom's estate, and then that we need them to sign, and then we're going to have to do another AOH. So I think my AOH record, I think I had to do like 4 affidavits, and it was for this deal. I don't remember where it was, but I remember the people. So
What happens if that child, the person you're talking to, these whole heirs, absolutely hate these people and the fact that they're alive,
It's not uncommon, but
and
then
they don't want them to get a dime?
they have to sign the rights away then. And it's part of the same process. Like, okay, well, John would have got that 25%. So no matter what, you're not getting any more money unless you persuade these people that you hate to give away the free money, right? Let's make this entertaining because this is the same exact deal. I'm not making this up, by the way. This guy's not dead, but he is in jail. Luckily, that's easy because you can find him and you can get notaries to sign. Ignore the writing, I did it sideways. So you have Dead people with kids, a guy in jail, right? So it's essentially the only reason it's overcomplicating it is just because there's more people involved and there's more information to gather. So if like Megan, I don't know why I keep using that name, doesn't know anything about these two kids because like he adopted them or something, doesn't matter. I'm going to find it. I have to, right? Like, do you know if they have the same last name? Like, oh, well, no, they're both girls and they got married. Okay, well, that doesn't matter because at some point they had his name. If they were adopted and he never gave them his last name, that's when it matters, right? Like the deal you brought up earlier in Dallas. There was an adopted kid, but nobody knew about him or where he was. And it just so happened that if you do a search in Dallas for that last name specifically, there was 150 of them. All within the same date of birth range that we thought he was.
Literally, it's just you find the Snows or the Smiths or the Anvils or whatever the fuck they are.
Yeah. Jail's easy unless the guy is like, I'm not selling anything. Because they can get paid in jail.
Yeah.
Like,
put money on their commissioner.
They can,
or whatever that word is.
It'll be given to
Commissary.
It'll be given to a trustee or whatever, and then they'll hold on to it until he gets out of jail. Either that, it goes into his books if it's not a big amount, or all of it can, and then they send it to him when he gets out. Or if this guy has a bank account and someone has permission to, oversee it, they have power of attorney, then you can just put it in his account. But
had to send notaries to the jails plenty of times. It's not uncommon. Get ready to use it as part of your negotiations.
And each jail's different. Sometimes they have in-house notaries in their law library. Sometimes they don't. COVID kind of screwed up all of that. There was something else on this one that made it hard.
That's what she said.
What was it? The jail was easy. Those kids were easy. Oh, yeah. It was... So, this is actually how it broke down. So, this kid died at birth. That's horrible, but we were able to clear that because, there's not a birth certificate. They just print out a, whatever. There was a fourth kid because John had an obituary, and John had a different girlfriend that he helped raise a child before these. Maybe a child, question mark? But there's a name listed as a son. I don't see him on any birth, there's no birth certificate with John's name on it. I need to find out who his mother is, otherwise I can't find this kid, right? Because let's say I know that this is John Smith, okay? John Smith might be his kid, doesn't matter. Who is your mother? Why do I need to know that? Because I cannot confirm that I have the right John Smith unless I know who his mother is, because when you're going through the ancestral search, there's going to be a million of these guys most likely in Texas. Everybody has pretty common names, right? But if I know who the mother is, it confirms this is your child. I can call the mother up and say, is this Jon Snow, this guy's dad? And she's like, fuck that guy, no. We were just dating. Okay, well, he loved him so much that he made sure he was on his obituary when he died, right? So, I need your help to get this kid to just relinquish his rights. And if these people don't want to pay him because it's not really their sibling or cousin or whatever, then I'll just call the guy and be like, hey, I need you to sign it away, but on the back end, I'll give you $1,000 just for your time.
This was fun. I enjoyed today. Standing is fun. Does anybody have any questions before I go get some more coffee in my kitty cup and then start crushing it on the rest of the week? I don't know. Guys, you don't have to go into this right off the bat, okay? In negotiations, when you're talking to sellers, you don't have to be sitting there thinking, all right, I have to get this form filled out. That's not what today's call is. It's understanding all the parts of the onion, right? How many things you have to peel back to actually get a deal done successfully and how you're going to make your money, okay? If you want to make $70,000 assignments, you're going to have to put in some work, guys. It's not that hard, though. It's just negotiations, it's talking, it's understanding things.
You know how much this one made us? This specific one that I'm talking about? Do you want to know? It took me a month to clear it. We made $7,000 on it. It was a small deal. Now, if you're a one-man show, $7K is cool. But when you have to split that up between every member on the team, pay back overhead, pay all the fees and shit out of it, whatever, we made $7,000 for me to get gray hairs in a whole month of my time. Late night hours trying to fix this. We have one right now we're making $2,000 on that we just got done with a
2 AOHs on. So they're not always 70K bangers, but don't waste the deal. Try to price drop them if you have to. Stay ethical. Get your shit done. Do your AOHs. Help the seller. It's not always about the assignment fee. It's just more deals being done. And then once you get good at it, you can focus on trying to make, better deals.
With that being said, I'm really disappointed in Mason, and if anybody's looking for a position, we're hiring for acquisitions. So, because that's really sad and pathetic. That's what she said.
I mean, we knew it was a small deal, but in this case, they owed almost too much, so wasn't a lot of room.
Learning how to close everything means big and small, all right? You get jobs done. We're not going to turn away problems. We're not going to turn away solutions. If anybody needs anything, drop a comment. Always reach out. Linktree is always available. Next Wednesday, I just want to reiterate this. Me, Maria Acosta, sitting down. It's going to be a great call. Following that, Tuesday, our open office event. It's right in the office. Come on out. We're going over underwriting. We're going to be discussing AOHs, not like this, but we're going to be discussing title problems, lender problems, how to get deals done, how to get things significantly reduced, okay? It's going to be a great time. And then, drum roll, September 3rd, next Texas Tuesday event. I will be there with Maximilian Dyer. I always fuck up that name. Good old Max, I love him. Me and him will be there Texas Tuesday. It's going to be standing room only. I can't wait. If anybody's in town, come on out. It's Fort Worth, Hyenas, September 3rd. September, not December, September. Guys, anything, let us know. We're always crushing it. You too. Should too. I don't fucking
Keep crushing it, guys.
hug me. Later, guys.
That's on
I
film.
like
I
standing.
can sue now.